Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to pick up from the top of Ayin Hey Amud Aleph, and Amir Hashem try to get all the way to the end of Pei Aleph Amud Beis. So let's jump right into it. We're starting from the Maisa on the top. Omer Yehuda Marav. There was a Maisa ba'adam echad shenosan einav bisha achas. There was a person. He saw a woman. V'helo li baitina. He got so upset. He had obsession with her. Ubo v'shol Raifim. He got so sick from that obsession. And they asked the Raifim, what could they do to heal him? V'amru ein loy takon achi tiboy. The only way to heal such a person is to mamish do tashmish with this isha. So amru chachamim yamus v'al tiboy. It's better to do what? It's better that he shall die from his sickness and not do tashmish with her. So Frektimar, what's the big deal? Tamil fun of aruma. I got it. To do ma'ases nos is a problem, but let her stand there aruma, which will help her at least calm him down. And that the Gemara says yamus va'al tamoy lefun of aruma. It's better that what? That he should die and not do such a ma'isa. Frektimar, okay, no. Tisapi ima mechara gadar. Maybe let them talk to each other. And that the Gemara says yamus v'loy tisapi ima mechara gadar. So Pligabar Rav Yaakov Bar Idi Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Chad Amar Eishes Ish Haisa. One wants to say she was mamish a married woman. The Chad Amar, one wants to say Pnuya Haisa. She was actually a Pnuya. So Frektimar Bishman Damar, we can understand Eishes Ish Haisa Shapir. We can understand why it's better Yagval Yavar Lamanda Pnuya Samai Kulai. What's the big deal? Let them get married. It's not such an issue. Forget about marriage. Let them do tashmish. They're going to be embarrassed. Even if she wants to be Meichel, the family is not going to be Meichel. So Zok Gemara, Rav Achabar Eid wants to say, we don't want B'nai Yisrael prutzas and such a thing, and it's better to do what? Yamus, and not have such a Maisa. Okay, so let's do a Baif and a Heter. Let him get married Baif and a Heter. And Mar says, he's not going to calm down because Rav Yitzchak miyoim. Shechara Beis Hamikdash nitla tambia v'nisna tuhu live yaveira shenem, like it says, Mayim genuvim. We all know that stolen waters are sweet. Im taku v'lachem. It says sarim. The breaded secrecy over here we're talking about is nus. A nation's ish that's mizana is always the secret. Yinoim is very pleasant. Hadron alach min sayer mayrer hadron alach. Now we're going to a new parak. Elu hein hanisrafin. There's the next halachas we spoke about it. Skila, Sreifa, Herachenek. Now we're jumping into Sreifa. Who are the people that get Nisrafin? Habal, Isho, Bita. The Gemara is going to explain exactly what that means. Someone who's boil, Kipshutai, his mother and a daughter. Ubas Koyin Shenzenso. We all know the Torah says a person that's Mizana gets Hebis Reifa. We all know Hebis Reifa, a boil, Alaibis Reifa, Davka. And then Zok the Gemara, Yesh Bechlal, Isho, Bita. We're going to see 9 different Isurim. Bitai, the daughter. His own daughter, Ubas Bita, his own granddaughter, Ubas Benai, his son's daughter. One thing is Ishtai. Ubas Ishtai, his wife's daughter, Ubas Bita, his wife's granddaughter, Ubas Benai, his wife's son daughter. Another case is Chamaisai, his shviger, the Aim Chamaisai, his wife's grandmother, his mother-in-law's mother, Aim Chamiv, and his father-in-law's mother. Zok the Heilige Gemara. Habal Isha Shenasa Bita like Tani. What's the case? It should say very simple. You marry someone who's Baal, his mother-in-law. Rather, it says what? Habal Isha Ubita. You did both. Avada, usually in a simple case, it's a mother-in-law. El Habal Isha Ubita Mechlal de Tavayli Surah. It sounds like very clearly both the daughter and the mother are both us. So what's the case? Umani knew what's the case. Chamaisa. The only case you can have, it's a mother-in-law. The aim. Chamaisai and the mother-in-law's mother. So we're saying the daughter is not usher, rather it's the mother-in-law and the mother's mother-in-law. The mother of the mother-in-law. Viktani. Yesh bechlal isha ubita mechlal de tavai ksivi behedia. Sounds like they're both written in the Torah that's usher. V'hanach, the rest that we saw, the other 9 cases, midrasha asya. So zok the Gemara nichala abaya da'alma mashmos darshan ika benayu. So we're going to see in a moment, there's a machlekes in Ayin Vavam and Beis. Exactly, there's a machlekes when it says in the Torah. If you look in the Torah, it says in Torah brings down a pasuk Beis. Ve'isha sheikach es isha ve'esima. It's zima he they should burn be'esh yisraifu oisay ve'esen. Esen kepshutai means them. So it's a machlekes Rabbi Shmuel and Rekiva. What's it mean? Esen. It sounds like you what? You're going to burn your wife? Frektamar, how in the world do you understand that you're going to burn the wife? The wife did nothing be'isr. So it doesn't make sense of Adasa means them. Rather, Rabbi Shmuel wants to say over there, we're going to see Esen means one of them. It's Lashon Yevani is one, which is the mother-in-law. However, Akiva wants to say no, it means two people. But who are those two people? So Abaye wants to say it means the mother-in-law and the grandmother-in-law, we call it. The mother-in-law's mother. However, Rava wants to say Esen means Ishtai. However, what we're referring to, that Dafka Ishtai, when it's not alive, the mother-in-law gets burnt. However, Ishta la'achemisa, you're not going to get sreifa. However, Isura ikka. So Zaktig Manicha la'abaya. According to Abaye, there's no machlekes of Akiva and Ushmal. They both hold they get sreifa. Rather, Akiva's coming from a pasuk, and Mishmal's coming from a drasha. So Anicha la'abaya mashmois darshika benayu. That according to Mishmal, it's a drasha. Mesnisamani Rabbi Akiva, that's coming from the pasuk. El Rava that says, what's it mean esen? We're going to see Damachamaisa means la'achemisa benayu. Mesnisamani, who's our Mishnah? Rava Tni, you have to read it in Chanami. Habal isha shenasabita just means someone who's bail. His mother-in-law, that's all it means. The mother that after he married the daughter. Yesh b'chlal isha bita, we're saying, the Mishnah explicitly says, chamaisa, the mother-in-law, ve'em chamaisa, ve'em cham. So Zaktimar, Labaya, I did the Kabbalah Mishnah, Eim Chamim. According to Abaye, then we have to mention the case of what? Eim Chamim, which is father-in-law's mother, Taninami, we mentioned Chamaisa, the mother-in-law, ve'em chamaisa. The Rava, I did the Kabbalah Mishnah, Eim Chamim, ve'em chamaisa. According to Rava, then we mentioning the mother-in-law, the grandmother-in-laws, Taninami chamaisa, we aga mention the what? The Shviger. Zok the Heilige Gemara, Minani Mila, where do we know these 9 Heilige concepts? The Tanur Rabbana says in the pasuk, Isha sheikach es Isha ves ima. It says Zimahi. However, Eilil Isha of Ima. If you look in the pasuk very clearly, V'yikar Chaf Yudalad, it clearly just says the mother and the mother and the daughter. Bas Isha. How do you know the wife's daughter? Ubas Bita, the granddaughter, is Ubas Bina Minayin. And our answer is Namakan Zima. Since over here it says Zima on the pasuk of Isha Shima, Vin Nemer Lahalon. We're going to see regarding the end of the pasuk of Eras Isha Bita. It says over there clearly, explicitly in the psukim, grandchildren. Nemer Lahalon, Zima Malahalon. Clearly in pasuk Vayiko Yuches Yedzayin. It says Bita Bas Bino Afkan. In pasuk Chaf Yedalid, Bita Bas Bino. Zok the Heilige Gemara, we're going to see in a moment what does it mean. Minan Lasus Charm Kenekavus. The Gemara is going to explain this in a moment. We're going to go through this brayso. Nemakan Zima, Nemer Lahalon Zima. Malahalon. Scharim kinekevos, avkan scharim kinekevos. And minayin, again, the Gemara is also going to explain what's it mean lamata lamalo. Minayin lasus lamata lamalo, nemakan zima, nemer lalon zima, malalon. Just like with lamata lamalo, avkan lamata lamalo, makan lamata lamalo kalamato, af lalon lamalo kalamato. So we just quoted extensive brayso. Now we're going to break it up slowly. Amamar, we started that brayso. Minayin lasus scharim kinekevos. So what's it mean scharim kinekevos? My scharim kinekevos. What's that mean? Elim, you're going to tell me schar means his own children, bas bin no, ke bas bita. You want to tell me that what? The son's daughter is like the daughter's daughter. That's what it means. Schar involved. They're both clearly coming from the psukim, from the Gzeir Shava Zima Zima. Ella, what? You're going to tell me Eim Chamiv came Chamaisai, that the father-in-law's mother is like the mother-in-law's mother. Hash to think about it. Eim Chamaisai like Kamlan. We didn't find clearly in the Torah where you get Sreifa. Aim Chavim Mahad Allah, you're going to start looking for the father-in-law's mother? What's going on? On that, the Gemara answers, this is what it's saying. Scharim in a cave means something else. Minayin lasois, the share haba mimenu, kesher haba mimena. We want to say his own daughter and his grandchildren, manu sasoi. We're talking about that it's not his isha. How do we know that it has the same halachas as her? Kesher haba mimena nemakan zima, v'nemer lahalon zima v'chule, and that we're saying the drasha that it says zima in both places. But if you look inside the pasuk, and vayikru yiches, it's the first Torah art. V'ha di dai like siva bezima. Clearly just says ervascha kirvasaina. Look at that Torah art. Vayikru yiches yod. And that the more answers on Rav Amalev Yitzchak Garav Dumi Asya Heina Asa Zima Zima. It's the famous drasha the Gzeir Shava that we made. If you look in pasuk Torah art, vayikru yiches yod, the last word is Heina. And when you look at Eres Isha Bita, where it talks about Lesagalis Bas Bina Ves Bas Bita, there it says Heina and Zima. However, in the third pasuk where it talks about Sreifa, regarding a person who takes his daughter and a mother, it says Zima hi be'eshi Sreifu. And over there it says also we're making the drasha V'lai siya Zima v'seichachem. We're taking Zima from Vayikra Chaf Yudalit, schlepping the Sreifa to what? To Vayikra Yudches Yud Zayin. Once we know Sreifa, by Heina, we schlep it up to Vayikra Yudches Yud, and therefore we know that you get Sreifa by a Bas Bincha and Bas Bitcha. So now we have to figure out what's the lashon lamata kalamala. Either can mean two options. Either means in the psukim, we always find whatever psukim come first is lamala. Or sometimes we have it that it can mean over here, we're going to see it means dairos. Your wife is lamala, and maybe your wife's granddaughter is lamata, or etc. Or your wife is going to be lamata, and your wife's grandmother would be lamala. Let's go through it. So what's it mean? My lamata kalamala. Elim, you're going to tell me means like kipshuta means dairais. Baspina, her son's daughter, we consider lamata baspita kibita is like kamala. Badadia dalsi, like we said earlier in Amar Aleph, they both come from Joshua. Ella aim chamev, you're going to tell me it means your wife's grandma, your wife's mother's grandmother. Ve'im chamaisa kechamaisa, that's what it means. Lamata means the grandmother, and lamata means the wife. That's the other way around. Hi lamata kalamala? No, it's lamala kalamata have. Lamala means the grandmother is like the wife. My answer is Tani, you have to read it. Lamala kalamata, that your wife's grandmother is the same halachas as the mother, kalamata, and the wife, echule. Frak demar ihachi, ini like siva zima, ihachi nemakan zima, v'nemelalon zima. So we said in the Brisa, they won't say zima. Frak demar ma hashta ini like siva zima, if you look at the Pesukim. Diduk siva? Amabaya hachi kama, minayin lasa shleisha dairais, lemala k'shleisha dairais lamata. Where do you know to say the same halachas? We have shleisha dairais. Your wife's Rashi's masber is dair number 1. To go down generations, basu basbita is dar number 2 and dar number 3, or to go up is your mother and the grandmother-in-law is going to consider daris lamala. So now my lemata zima. It clearly says in the psukim by Evras Isha Bita, which is lamata zima lamala, and it says lamala, which we're teaching by regarding ish ves ima zimahi. That is lamala malamata shleisha dar, just like my wife shleisha dar is lamala. So by the shvigar shleisha daris. Ma ba'inish zaktig mar ma ba'inish asalamata kilamata bazara nami asalamalo kilamata. And Rashi's masman. This is how you read the Brisa. Minayin lasois lemalo meishtoi kilamata meishtoi. Where do we know they make lemala meishtoi? That what? Leinishtoi shadairis. How do you know such a concept? And that's the Gemara. Nama lemala. It says by ishtoi zima, and it says lemata meishtoi zima. We're making it the what? Just like a lemata kilamalo. That what? Her baspita, the granddaughter is like a bita, so too you make it, you make it that the grandmother is like the mother-in-law. However, Rav Ashi doesn't want to flip it. He doesn't want to flip the whole lamala kalamata to tni, that we have to read it lamala kalamata. Rather, he says as follows, Lailam kidaktani. Ulamai, lamata, we're saying, is not what we're referring to, which is dairais. Lamata means be'isr. And this is what it's saying. Lamata ke'isr, where do we know to make it that your mother-in-law's mother and your father-in-law's mother, which is rechaikais, to make it like lamata, which is kraivais, like your mother-in-law that gets besreifa, and then we're saying from the psukim of zima, zima. Fraktik mari, mahi, ima asura. Now, if so, his wife's grandmother is asur. The problem is, afhu emi ma'asura. According to this mahalach, it should be that your own grandmother's usher. And we all know your grandmother's usher, Rashi's masbir. A person can technically marry his own grandmother. The only reason why it's usher is mitam shnias, midarabanan. So Mabaya Makra, it says over there, no, the reason why your grandmother's not usher to you, midaraisa, says in the pasuk, imchayi. Mishum ima yata mechayvoi, viyata mechayvoi, yina mechayvoi, mishum emi mai. Rava Amar Bein Laman Amar Dun Mino Mino. Bein Lama Dun Mino Buki Basra Lay Asis. Let's slow down and let's explain this. Dun Mino Mino, whenever you want to make a Gezer Shava, the question is, do we do it completely a double dip? A double dip over here would be that if you're learning from, for example, you're learning from a Isha which has skila, not just say the punishment of that it's Asr, go Mina, go a second step and say Huadin, the punishment itself, the Einish. Whether you're going to say, no, we can learn from it, but the Einish is going to be different. You cannot learn out the grandmothers, etc., and the wives. Let's go through it. Laman damar don mino mino. Just like you're going to say, mahi, just like you understand by the wife. Amy masura, you're not allowed to marry their wife's grandmother. Afu nami amy masura. You're going to want to say, so too, your own grandmother should be usher. Why? Umina, mahi, we know bisreifa. Just like your mother-in-law and your grandmother-in-law get sreifa. Who? Nami, your own grandmother, someone who's Bella's own grandmother should get what? Bisreifa. So Zok Gemara as follows. Laman damar sreifa chamura. If you hold sreifa is worse, ikal mifrach as follows. Malihi. Shekain ima bisreifa. If person's Bella's own mother-in-law, the Torah explicitly says he gets sreifa. Time rabahu she'imai biskila. How can you compare it to him? The halacha is, we all know, a person who's bail his own mother gets skila. Va'id. Another issue is ima beskila. You're going to tell me, let's say we swallow that. So it comes out your mother's beskila. Aim ima, but your grandmother is besreifa. That makes no sense. She's further away than your mother. We hold shreifas chamura. Va'id mahi lechalakta babein aim ila aim ima. Just like you understand, by the mother-in-law and the grandmother-in-law, there's no difference in the punishment. If you want to make a gzer shava, you got to take it all the way. If so, it can't be that your mother and your grandmother had different punishments. For Gemara, Mandam eskila chamura mahai manashach. Mandam eskila chamura mahai kusha, from the last point that we said that have different punishments. Lo yiniduna. You can't learn it out. What's the minuki basra? Means you don't follow the punishment. Just like your wife's grandmother is usher, so to your own grandmother's usher. Vuki basra hasam, you're going to say no. There, by your mother-in-law and your grandmother-in-law's besreifa, but you're going to have a different halacha. Hasam with the besreifa. Halacha, you're going to get your own grandmother, you get skiluk, beskiluk, and the ashkam ima, just like your own mother. So on Rechmana Litzlan does tashmish with her get skiluk. So again, Zok Demar, Laman, Damas Reifa Chamura Ikal Mifrach. One, I involve him in Aleph, you can make a percha. Ma Lehi Shekinima Bisreifa. We all know that regarding the wife's mother, it's Bisreifa. Time Hushim Biskila, it's different punishments. Void Hu Kihi. Lachar, if you make a Gzer Shava, it has to be together. Mahi, just like your wife. Loichilak the ba. Bein Bita Leimima, there's no difference in the punishments. Afu Le Tachlak Boy, Bein Bita Leimima. How could you make a difference? And the Gemara's Masber, again, from the last point that we brought out, that you have to take it completely. If a person's own daughter-in-law we know is as afi kalasa, so too his afi kalasa asura, and that's not true. For example, a wife's son, which is your stepson's wife, is mutter. Rashi says mutter other beishes chargoy. So if you're making the Zger Shav, it should be aser. And that says there's a reason why your stepson's ex-wife is not awesome. Rava wants to say, so let's go through this again. Mahu kalasa, we all know that your daughter-in-law is asur afi. Nami kalasa sura. And we know is that what mahu beskila. We all know Sona's Bella's daughter-in-law gets skila. Afi nami beskila. So too over here, your stepson's wife should get skila. Manda maskila chamurika lemifrach. Malhu, you can't compare shekeni ma beskila. Tami behi shema besreifa. We know that halacha is different regarding who your own mother gets what skila. However, your mother gets reifa. Va beat the besreifa kalasa beskila. You're going to tell me that what? That your daughter gets reifa, but your daughter-in-law gets skila? No, who bats michiach? Do we all know? Person's bail his own daughter to beat the besreifa, the kalas beskila. And this is going to what? Lamandama skila chamur. And if you think about it, who's much more chamer to be bail? A daughter or a daughter-in-law? Daughter is much more. Nafal PK. The daughter-in-law is a stronger punishment than the mahu lechalakta by ben ima lekalasa. Just like regarding him, you're not mechaluk regarding mother and a daughter-in-law. I feel like tachlak, but ben ima lekalasa, that they're going to say that both of them should get sreifa. Again, from the last point, because whenever you make a Gzer Shava, you got to do it completely. And you're going to say that what? Okay, they're both asur. However, uki basra hasam regarding your own daughter-in-law, the beskila. However, regarding your wife's daughter-in-law, you're going to tell me that what you get besreifa, get the ashkachan bima. Just like regarding a person's bail, his mother. The mother-in-law, the husband, she can't even beskila, bird, he does tashmish with the husband gets skila. Tamivishim besreifa. V'ayid again, mahu chalak the boy. Ben bita lekalasa, that his daughter gets reifas, kalasa gets skila, fi tachlak ba, ben bita lekalasa. L'mandam and ami sreifa chamura, again, mahi kusha, leini dainan, that you can't have different punishments. Zok the Gemara weiter, bitoi, manusasa minayin. How do you know? If a person does tashmish with the isha and they have a daughter, and then you borrow that daughter, how do you know he gets reifa? Now, everywhere else it clearly says, Rashi says, B'sher dida b'kra the eres bes bencha. However, Ba'insin doesn't say your daughter. On that the Gemara says, you get your granddaughter onush. I'll beat like kol shekain. So it's a kol shekain. In fact, the Gemara says it's not considered an inshim and a din, it's not considered kavachaymer. Rashi says a kavachaymer is when a person says, the Torah talks about a sister from the mother and a sister from the father. How do you know complete sister? It's a kavachaymer. And then we say an inshim and a din. However, over here we're saying Giloi Milsa Ba'almahu. It's not a Kavachaymer, it's just explaining. The granddaughter itself, the only way it's a granddaughter is it's coming through the daughter itself. Rava Amarli, Rabbi Yitzchak Bravdimya Asa Heina Heina Asa Zima Zima. We're making that what? The Gzer Shava that we made earlier of Heina Heina Zima Zima. Tani Avor there above. Since we didn't learn Mamish this in the Torah, has to say, we're going to come from the pasuk of Asish Kain. What's to say about Asish Kain? It says as follows. Ima bas Kain. If you look at the pasuk, Ima bas Kain, he besreifa. We all know it says Dafke he besreifa and Baila besreifa. So it should come out, Afbita Manusasa, he besreifa, Bain Baila besreifa. If a person is Bail his own daughter, why does he get sreifa? He's like the Bail. The Bail gets something else, either skila, chenek, other punishments. The reason why Dafka she gets skila, she gets reifa, but he doesn't get the bayil is aviyah mechaleles. Misha mechaleles aviyah yatzazu. He himself is doing it aviyah mechala. Rava Amma Bishma Hasam picked the Medina the Baskayin, Vokipta Dina the Bas Yisrael. Regarding a typical Baskayin, we understand that what she gets. The bayil is going to have a loch of a Bas Yisrael. What do you want to do, Zok the Gemara? Hacha adina the man mukamasle, adina the pnuya mukamasle. Frag them over here. What do you want to put her as? Where are you going to put the punishment? Make her what? Make her regular pnuya? Rahman al-San, it's his own father. Savadi has no choice but to get the punishment. So frag the Gemara, Hazara lebitoi manusasei minai. Where do you know that Zara from? Bishalam Abaya, Virava, we stirred earlier, it's Gzer Shava, or Gila Milsa, Mehech the Nafkulainish, Masa Nafkula Zara. Ela the Tani Davor the Beiravin, that learns it from the Pasuk of Asish Kayin. Mai, where does he learn it from? Amr Velama Krat says in the Pasuk, Al Techalel is Bincha Lehas Nice. Mascular Rav Yaakov, Achuda Rav Yaakov, Rav Acha, someone says a brother, someone says it's not a brother. Bar Yaakov, Hi, Al Techalel is Bincha Lehas Nice. It's not really true. It's not coming to us as Zara. We needed it for something else. You would say, if you think about it, till now, she was able to eat truma. Now they got married, you're mechaler, kasim medaber. No, dafkas nus is the problem. Last niso. V'chil shabas nusa kasim medaber. B'maiser es bito shelo. What to tell us? B'maiser es bito shelo l'shem mitzvos. And then the more answers. In Cain, let me kra tachel. What's his level? What's the double lamed? Ma'al techalo shmami. No, what tarti? One is there's nus, and the other one, if a person does Rachman al Itzlan's nus with his daughter. V'abai v'rava hay techalo is ben chalaz nice my avdilate. They're not coming from psukim. Rabbi Mani, who's the Mani Zeh Mesi is bita lezakin. Someone who does his daughter to a zakin. Kedetanya al techalo is betchal as nicer, but Leza Oimez Mesi is bita lezakin. We're going to see why. But the point is that a zakin cannot satisfy the wife with tashmish, and she's going to end up doing znus. It's somebody that he doesn't want, that what he gives a masha bita begeresh. There's no ani b'Yisrael, someone who's a Rasha Arum. We explained that once. That what? We mentioned someone that gives bad eitzes, etc. Masha bita begeresh. Frek tomorrow. Ata masha bita begeresh. Lav Rasha Arumu. But you holding on to your daughter, you're keeping her as a maid. You're not a Rasha. Amabayon that we're saying. Well, now involving Bais Hachikama, Ezani Rasha Arum. Who is a Rishvila Rasha Zok Rashi? Because he's poor, he doesn't want to give up his daughter. He rather use her as a maid. You should be very careful. Always be careful from who you're asking for advice. Make sure he doesn't have his own agenda. The second you realize he's all about himself, he's really here for himself, you run away. All these people, all of Akasavayim, it says in the Pasuk, Laman Safai Sarava. It's at Smeya. Whether the quench be attached to the thirsty, because they're the Bina Shalaylam, is not going to pardon, he's not going to forgive him. A person who loves his wife, like himself, and this is the punchline, you should underline these words. Very clear, someone who marries you close to the age of a begeres, all of a kasavaimer. Says clearly, you should have shalom in your tent, ufakatcha, navcha v'loy sechta. and you should not do aver. Clearly sees v'loy sechti, not over anything. So what are we talking about? We just said someone who makes such a thing as over. The Gemara says samach lepirkan shani. Close enough in age. Rashi says a isha has no problem waiting in a half a year till she's going to start getting tashmish from her husband. Meshenkin is zaken. She's realizing she's never going to get it, and what is she going to do? She's going to do Rachman al-Sanzlos. Taner Rabbanan. Ahoyev Scheiner v'Makarves Kreviv v'Nesis Pasachaysoy v'Mavos Elani b'Shas Doichkoi. What does it say? All of the Kasavayim. Oh, it's Tikra. You cry out v'Hashem Yan, and Hashem will answer you. Taner Rabbanan. Okay, this is what we mentioned earlier. The Machlekes of Vesen, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Shmuel. I'm never going to go through it right now. Oisay Vesen. Oisay Ves Achas Man Divrei Bishmal. Because again, Esen, there's no way we could understand that a person does tashmish with his wife, who's married to his wife, and he's boiled his mother, you kill the wife. She did nothing better. Rather, Bishmal says, Oisay Vesen, it means just Achas Man. Shekei Melosh Yivani Karin Achas Hina. Ve'em Chamaisay Midrash Ohr. Rekiva Savano means two. Oisay Vesen, Oisay Vestein. Ve'em Chamaisay Hachaksiva. So one's coming from Drasha, one's coming from Mamash in the Pasuk. So now here we have the Machlekes Abaye Rava. Rava wants to say, you know what they're talking about? Oisay Vesen. That after Misa is the Machlekes. Rabbi Shmuel saw Chamaisay Lachem Isa B'Sreifa. Rabbi Kiva says, Rabbi Kiva Sava, no, it just means Isura Ba. Okay, very good. That was Machlekes we saw earlier. Here's the Makar. Ve'elu hein haneragin. Even though the parak starts with Elon Nisrafin, we're on to the next case of Herod. Harayt Seyach, someone who murders, we all know, gets killed with Saif. Vanchir Nidachat, someone who commits the whole city. What happens to the whole city? They get Saif and what? And we burn everything. Baruchav Shalir. Right Seyach, Shehikos, Re'eyu, Be'evan, and Be'barz. You have a murder. He hits his friend with the stone or metal. The Kavash, all of Techamai, he holds him down in water. Oil Techa or he puts him in the flames. You have to know somebody, there's a room on fire, and you quickly hold the door shut, and he dies from smoke inhalation. Sounds like Yechayev. You push him into the water, into a pool. And he could have easily took the ladder and climbed out of the pool. We're going to see, even if he removes the ladder, he can leave from the fire escape. The mace, the halacha is potter. Shisa by Sakelav, Shisa by Sanechash, potter. You let a pit bull run out of the cage and go and kill him, or a poisonous snake, potter. But Heishich by Sanechash, you take the snake itself and you put it on the arms, then it's a machlekes. We're going to see why. The question is the poison mamish in the fang of the snake, or maybe it's in the body and the snake needs to do another action? We're going to go through grama and etc. Review the Mechayev Chachamim Paiter. Amashmul mipnei ma lo nemra yad bebarzel. Why shabarzel meimis b'chol shu with any share? Tananam hachi Rabbi Yami Golav Yadol Lefnei Misham Avahayolam shabarzel meimis b'chol shu lefikach lo nasna tar by share v'hani mili avada. If you just take a little metal and you throw it in a person's hand, it's not going to kill him. The barzel mivris a pierces. Rashi says either the vesas, either the lungs, the brain, somewhere where it's very deadly. The kavash all of techamayim, you put them in water. So we're saying the Reisha says a chiddush, and the sefer is going to be a chiddush. Reisha Rebusa Kamashmalan, the sefer Rebusa Kamashmalan. Reisha Rebusa Kamashmalan. What's the chiddush in the Reisha? Afagav delav iu dachfoy. Kivan dein yachol lalis musham umeis chayv. What happens? The guy walks into a room, and suddenly there's a fire. All you did was close the door and hold it shut. You're chayv. Sefer Rebusa Kamashmalan. Afagav the dachfoy. Even though you pushed the guy into the pool, he could have easily used the ladder to get out at the time that you pushed him. Kiva the yachol alas misham ameis pot. So frak the Gemara, kavash minolan. How do you know when you hold somebody down, you're chayiv? Amishmul Damakra says in the pasuk oy be'eva, which means with sinah le rabbis, it's a mitzamtzem to tell us someone who confines you. Hainu kaivesh zok Rashi shem mitzamtzem sham shaloi yakum. Now the Gemara says there was a ma'aser who gathered the mitzamtzem lechiyusa the chavri. Person took an animal, his friend's animal, and put it in the sun, and it died from the heat. We saw this a little nakaina, such a type of thing. Ravina Mechayev, Rav Acha Barav Potter. Zoktim Ravina Mechayev Kavachaymer. Umaritzech, we all know regarding a murder. Shilayasa Bashayga Kamezavinis Karatzain, still Chayv by Sitzamtzim. We know it doesn't go to Galus, etc. Nizakin, however, when it comes to damage, 1-9 Zainam at Aleph, Shasam Shayga Kamezavinis Karatzain. Ain't it then Chayv by Sitzamtzim? Kavachaymer. We see the Hezek Yechayv. Rav Acha Barav Poiter, Rav Acha Barav Poiter. His grandfather was Rav Acha. What should he pater the Poiter? Makra says in the pasuk regarding the pasuk it says, what's it say? Mois yumas hamake, because he's a ritzechu. To tell us, ritzechu the chayv lo mitzamtzem, but ben azakin regarding damage le chayv lo mitzamtzem. Amar Rava kavsa meis berav. What happens? You put a guy in a prison room and you just lock the door and throw out the key and he dies from hunger. The halacha is your potter. V'amar Rava kavsa bechama umeis bitina. You put a person in the heat or in the cold and he dies umeis chayv. Why? So in such a case, chayv. That's the second case. Soif chama lavai. You put a person, for example, it's not yet hot yet, or soif tzina lava, it's not yet cold. You have to know maybe in the mountains in the summer, you tie a guy up and it's not cold yet, and overnight he dies from the cold. Umeis chayv. Because we're going to see it's grama. The whole point when you only chayv when it's mamash the maisa immediately. That's when you chayv. V'amar Rava kavsa lifnei ari potter. What? Oh, soif chama lavai, soif tzina lavai potter. But if it's only going to happen later, then you're potter. V'amar Rava kavsa lifnei ari. You put a person in front of a lion, potter. Why? Rashi's masber, because there's no hopes, right? You see what there's a lushi, you see the white beard, say goodnight, right? It's gone. There's no chance he's going to survive a lion. However, if Yitushin are like little bugs, nam a chayev. Why? Because if he wanted to die, he would have got rid of the bugs. But eventually it gave him so many bites that he died. Why? Hani azli v'hani azi. He didn't die from the first bugs. Eventually it came and killed him. However, Kipshutai, Rava wants to say, you're chayiv, because just like by water, you put a guy in the river. It's not the same water that killed him. Rather, it's other water. Same thing with the bugs. We look at it as one big unit. Itmar, kafal of gigas. What happens? You take a barrel and you cover it and he dies from the ear. He dies from lack of oxygen. Rashi says from the hevel of the barrel. You have to know it's like a garage and you turn on a car, it'll die from the gas. Uparal of maziba, or you opened up the maziva, now he died from the cold, Rashi says. So Rav Zera, Chadam, we're going to see this is Rav Zera's Chayiv, Chadam, and Rav wants to say Potter. So this time the Rav Dama Potter, Dama Rav, Kavsa, Meis Berav, you tied a guy up and he died from hunger, Potter. So you see, clearly the reason is because not immediately. Zaktamar, no, other rabbit. This time there's Zera Dama Potter, Dama Zera. Ha mind the Isla the Chavre, the base of the Shisha, a person who puts his friend in what? In a marble chamber. And he makes a candle, and then he dies again from the candle from the ear. Umeis Chayiv. Time will make a dik. Time of the Adlik Sharga. Loi Adlik Sharga. Loi. If he wouldn't have lit the candle, he wouldn't be Chayiv. Without the candle, you wouldn't have the hevel. One ein zayim base. However, b'shayta loy have. Sorry, loy maskil havlo b'shayta hacha b'loy shargo nami maskil havlo b'shayta. It would have happened immediately. The second you close off the barrel, there's already no air. The person's going to die. It might take a few seconds, but it just gets stronger and stronger, and he's eventually going to die from lack of action or the hevel. Simin, sulam, tris, samanim, b'kaisel. Whether it's a ladder, a shield, samana means medicine, or regarding a war. We're going to go through a bunch of little things that Rav is going to say regarding the halachas that we spoke about. If it's not immediately, if you're able to save yourself immediately, b'shasti you do your maisa, you're not chayiv. Amar Rava, dachvel bar v'sulam bar. You throw a guy into a pit, but there's a ladder there. Uba acher, Rashi said, uba acher v'silka. You quickly go, you push him into the pit. If you would chop the ladder, he would get up. But you took away the ladder. V'afilu hu kad v'silka. Even if you throw the guy into the pit, then you go and take the ladder potter. Why? The shadye. The second you threw him in, Yochol lalai. So he was able to go up. Therefore, you can't say you're chayiv. Another halacha. V'amarava zark by chaitz. You throw an arrow. V'tris b'yadin. The guy has a shield. Therefore, the second you threw the chaitz, it wasn't a bar hariga. You weren't going to kill him. Uba achav v'natla v'afilu kadam v'natla. You have to know how he got there in time. Chleis. The halacha is potter the be'inna the shadye bay. Mifsak piskei girei. The second thing, when you sent it out, the shield was able to protect the arrow. You throw a thing and a taka hit him. Now you throw it in a place, he was able to take a thing to plug up the hole. Someone else who took his medicine away or the bandages. He took away the bandages, pot to the bin, and the shadabay. He was able to save himself. If so, should come out that even if he's able to go to the shuk and buy himself bandages, or you have to know today, if you're able to call it salah, it's not my fault. What is the halacha to make the case easier? Hatzalah comes and says, we're willing to help you and you'll survive. But he says, I'm not interested, and he dies. What is the halacha? Do we say Lamaisi is chayiv since he was able to sell him? since he was able to save him. Or the other side is, Lamaisa, when you shot the bullet, there was no Hatzalah here. Happens to be Hatzalah member passed by. That's the case. That was punked. Amalei Hare Yatzah, Mi Bezdin Zakai, Lamaisa, we have a schos. We're not going to be mechayvim, and the reality is, Hitako should have saved himself by utilizing whatever it was, whether it was bandages, Hatzalah members. That's not the point. The point is he's able to save himself. Zarak tzrar b'kaisel v'chazur la'cherel v'harga chayv. So what's it mean? Rashi's masber in those days they had an interesting game. Today we call it racquetball, pickleball. It's one of those things, or handball. They take a ball, they throw it against the wall, and the kavanah is to throw it as hard as possible. You throw it against the wall, but kol koyach. While a second you let go of it, you run as far as you can. And the point is, it takes long enough for your friend that's playing. By the time he catches it, you're gone. That's how you win the game, it sounds like. Or you can't throw it in. Something like that. Because we're going to see that a person with kavanah throws it very hard. So as follows. A person throws a rock or a hard ball, and it bounces back from his strength, and it kills somebody. This is the ball that we're talking about, this game that you played. If it was by mistake, go to Gullus. It's possible you go to Gullus. What's it sanat? More answers b'meizin eragin itzich lemad tema asra safiku. The halacha is it's a machlekes. What is the halacha regarding asra safik? But the point is that if a person says you better be careful, you're playing in a very dangerous area because it could kill somebody. The way we look at it as asra safik, and there's a tzad to say that there's the shittas that hold asra safik is what is potter. Mi imad hadra mechatesul taka bounce back. Kamash malon. It's a vadai when you're playing such a game that it's going to bounce back. However, it's within Dalad Amas Potter. What's the case? If he's happy where the ball went, what's the difference, Dalad Amas? But if he wasn't happy, it went 100 feet and killed somebody, should be Potter. Like we explained earlier, when you throw the ball, the whole kavanah in the game is to throw with all your strength. So there's no tzad to say less than Dalad Amas. Therefore, it's pasha Teich Dalad Amas, you're potter, because he doesn't want it to be Teich Dalad Amas. The whole game is it should be much stronger. Fraktik Mara, Lememra, in such a case, the Chaygavna. It's mamash's strength. What are we saying? You threw the ball, it bounced back against the wall, and it bounced and hit somebody else. So you want to say that's considered kayach or mini hamekadish. We're talking about the efa para that you need to do with your own kayach. V'nafal kiddush al yad el tzad v'achkach nafal l'shaykas fell into the basin. Puzzle. So what do you see over there? Even though it's your kayach, l'maisa fell into the basin. Puzzle. My answer is no. Hachmei skina. We know where it's puzzle, but shaysis where it dripped. It went on its own. Let's try to bring another right. Tashma machat, a machat that's tummy, touch the mace, for example. Scheiner al acheres. Now it's sitting on a cheres. V'hizal, and you poured water, tummy in it. Sav el machat is there. Sav el acheres is there. Umitza aleh as also possible. Basically, you have a needle. It's on shards, and whether you poured it directly or you poured it on a shard and it bounced off and went into the machat. You see, it's possible. Bounced off. It's a kayach, and as long as you have a kayach, it says v'nasan in the Torah needs to be a kayach. It should be mutter. It should be kosher. Don't read it. Umitza spurt. Mishmei the Rav matzah itma. You found it wet. Now you have another option. Maybe it got wet, not through kayak, whether it dripped or something else. That's how it got wet. Therefore, it's still possible. Amra Papa. Haiman de kasva lechavre. A person ties up his friend. The ashkel aleh bitka demaya. So imagine you're sitting either by a big or large aquarium, or you're sitting by the seashore. The point is, you tie him up so he can't run away, and then you smash the glass, you smash a barrier, and all the water comes and drowns him. The Gemara says, Gira dedehu. It's considered not grama, it's mamash's arrows and nichayv. Umechayv. Zok the Gemara, however, hani mila b'kayach rishon, v'kayach sheni grama ba'amu. If, for example, 3 blocks over, there's an aquarium, and you smash the aquarium 3 blocks over, and only gets to you later, that we consider the grama, and therefore you're part of. Amra Papa Zarak, Tzrar Lamala. You take a rock, you throw it very high, or you shoot a bullet in the air, same type of concept. V'hachal it started and it went sideways. V'harga yichayv. Amalei ma Rav Ashi or Papa, my taima. What are you going to say, Mishum the Kaychu? Why are you chayv? Because it's a kayach. Frak tomorrow, Frak Rav Ashi or Papa. I don't understand. If it's a koyach, tezelai, it should go up. V'lav koyach, we're on ein chesem and al at the top of the almond. V'lav koychu, tezel l'sachas. It should immediately fall. That's what happens when you throw something without any energy. It falls right down. Ella, the way we look at it is koyach kachushu. The way we look when someone throws something and it goes sideways. The way we understand it, it's your energy. But the way energy works, it gets lower, weaker, and eventually falls. However, there's no shayla if you're on a rooftop and you take a rock and you see somebody walking by and you drop the rock and gravity goes and kills him. Avadi yachayv. Tani Rabbanon. It's a very famous Gemara. Yikohu asara bnei adam ba'asara malchus. You have 10 people. They start whacking a person with clubs, with sticks, and he dies amazed. Bein vasachas, whether they do 1, 2, 3, and they all whack him. Bein vasachas eptur. However, Yehuda ben Medrash Ohr Chaim, the last one's chayiv, achron chayiv, nishakir v'misasei l'maisa. You might say the guy was about to die either way. Doesn't make a difference. You're mekav misai, and therefore you're chayiv. Amar Rabbi Yechanan Mishnayim Mikra Echad Darshu. They're both coming from one pasuk. Why? It says in the pasuk as follows: Ve'ish ki yakeh kol nefesh adam. Mois, you must. A person who hurt somebody, kol nefesh, that has to be completely. Rabbanan Sava, no. Kol means any part of the nefesh, ad ika kol nefesh. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbanan Sava, kol nefesh, ad ika kol nefesh. The only reason you're chayiv is when you completely kill someone. Rabbi Yehuda ben Seir Sava, no. Kol nefesh means any part of the nefesh, kol duhu nefesh. Amar Rava kol maidim b'hayir is a treifa shu pater. Person's a treifa, that Rashi says, whether he's brain dead, or his lungs are pierced, and he's not going to live. The halach is yipater. Begoisis, bidei shemayim, shu chayv. However, if a person's a goisis bidei shemayim, he's mamash about to die, then he's chayv. So zok the Gemara, loy nechlaku ela begoisis bidei adam. The whole machlokes says, Rabbi Yehuda, in Rabbanan, it's dafka begoisis bidei adam. Mar medam leile treifo, mar medam leile goisis bidei shemayim. If you hold these a treifa, then you potter. However, Yehuda is going to be medamel legoyis with the shemayim. They chayv. Man the medamel letreifa for tomorrow. Might have a medamel legoyis with the shemayim. So now we answer is goyis is b'dei shemayim lo yisav b'maisa. Hi yisav b'maisa. B'dei shemayim, that's nature. However, you went veered off nature. Once you went veered off nature, we could want to be mechayv you. Uman the medamel legoyis with the shemayim. My time lo medamel letreifa. My answer is treifa mechat chisamanim. Regarding a treifa, we're saying their organs, the vital organs were cut, but this was not. Tani Tana Kamei Der Sheshes says in the pasuk V'ishki Yaakov Nefesh Adam Lahavi Amakas Chaveiroi Vehein Boy Kadei Lahamis. Your person, he wounded him, he's not going to kill him. Uba'acher, and he did the final knockout V'misa Shu Chayev. Frek Gemara Ein Boy Kadei Lahamis Pshita. It's pasha that what's your having otherwise? My answer is no. Ella Yesh Boy Kadei Lahamis. Lade. You hurt the guy enough that he's about to die. The chiddush is shuchayiv is tama, like we just said. They said any misa is good enough. Kol, we learned kol nefesh means any. Amar Rava. Now we're going to see 4 different halachas. The Rava says more or less till the 2 dots. Amar Rava hayrik is a treifa potter. First statement from Rava is a person that kills a treifa, he's potter. I'm going to see why. V'treifa shaharag b'fnei bezdin chayv. However, you're sitting in front of bezdin, and the treifa comes, starts killing people. The halach is he gets killed. Zaktamar shaloi b'fnei bezdin potter b'fnei shaloi b'fnei bezdin you're potter. B'fnei bezdin you're what? My time of the chayv d'chsiva says of pasuk v'atur mikabecha to tell us you must destroy bad, and he's bad. Shaloi b'fnei bezdin potter davar le'edos shiat yochel azima v'chol edos shiat yochel azima lo shmei edos. Since over here we understand that it's Eida Shiat Yochel Azima. How could he kill him? Because he's a treifa. That how could you kill me? That's not a treifa. Therefore, it's Eida Shiat Yochel Azima. That's one halacha. Another halacha is V'amar Rava Reveya. It's a treifa. Someone who does tashmish with the treifa is chayiv. However, treifa sherava b'fnei bezdin only dafik b'fnei bezdin chayiv. Shaloi b'fnei bezdin potter. Again, b'fnei bezdin chayiv d'chsever atam mekubecha. Shaloi b'fnei bezdin you potter davar le'eida Shiat Yochel Azima. Shiat Yochel Azima. Frek tomorrow. Hatsulam ali. Hainu hach. What's the difference of Reveya and a hayir? My answers are Reveya a treifa it's chayv. The chiddush is the person who goes and boils a treifa is chayv. Now the tema lahavi command mashamish base. Just like a person that's tashmish with a dead body, the potter v'lift to kamash malon. The reason why you potter by mace is the mashum anohu va'isle ano. The only reason is Rashi's man's by mace. It's a dead body. It's cold. There's no ano. That's why you potter. Mashenkin a treifa. The mace is a chay regarding tashmish. Another halacha of Amarava, Eidim she'idu betreifa v'huzmu. Eidim, they were made in a treifa and they got busted, ein erog. You have to know how they give Eidus b'chalal. Maybe he became a treifa, maybe they didn't know he was a treifa, because we just said you don't do Eidus. Eidei treifa shehuzmu, ne'erogin, like we said, however, Rav Ashi wants to argue, Rav Ashi Amar, filo Eidei treifa shehuzmu, ein erogin. Why? Even the Eidei treifa, the reason is, the chiddush is, since Eidei Zaymim is a chiddushu, even though it's Eidei Shiata Yachal Azima, we want to say they're not going to get, they're not going to get killed. However, Rava is going to argue, Rava wants to say, since Eidei Zaymim chiddushu, therefore he's going to get killed because of a harta, will be arta hara mikabech. Now, the final statement from Rava is as follows: Rava shar treifa shaharak. What is the halacha? You have a treifa, an ox that's going to die, and he killed somebody. Chayiv. The shar shal adam treifa. The shar is healthy, but the person himself is a treifa. Sharak pater. My time, because it says in the pasuk, Amakra, Hashar Yisaka, we all know this, we learned this many times, Hashar Yisaka, the Gambal of Yumas, Kol Echa, the Karina Bay, the Gambal of Yumas, Karina Bay, Hashar Yisaka, the Kol Echa, the like Karina Bay, the Gambal of Yumas, like Karina Bay, Hashar Yisaka, and therefore, the Shar Shal Adam, I'm a treifa, the Bailam is a treifa, and just like the Bailam wouldn't get killed, so too you don't kill the Shar. Rav Ashi Amar Filu Shar treifa, Nami Sharak pater, my time, even though the Bailam have a ptirei, Shar Nami, the halacha Shar itself is also pater. Shisa Bais Medrash. So we saw the Mishnah to Machlekes of Yehuda, if you chayiv or not. According to Yehuda, clearly the Mishnah is Yehuda is mechayiv. You have to understand that Nachash, the way we look at a snake, where's the poison? We're saying the poison's mamish in his mouth. So the second you take the snake, it's like no different than a person taking a syringe full of poison and injecting it with somebody. It's Bain Scheiner v'Uayim. The Fikach, he's going to die. The Machash, the person who's doing his mamash Tzech beside. The Nachash is no different than a syringe. Potter. However, the Divrei Chachamim, Be'etzem, Eres, wears it in his body. Nachash, Ma'atzmai hu make. He brings it out of the body. The Fikach, Nachash beskila. Because the Nachash is doing it. Va'mekish is Potter. Why? Because it's only grama. I didn't do it. The snake did it. I caused the snake maybe to trigger reaction. You got him upset. But he pulled out the poison from his own. Person hurt his friend, whether it's with stone or with his own good old knuckles. They said, you know what? This guy is not going to survive. Lemaisa, you got to recover back to stable condition. Suddenly, boom, next thing you know, 5 minutes later, the guy passed. Chaim argues, said Potter, you know what? Let's be real. He got into stable condition. Suddenly he died. Maybe it was a different reason why he died. Aneurysm, heart attack, but nothing to do with the beating. Says in the pasuk as follows: Im Yakum, if he gets up, V'salach b'chutz, he goes outside. Am Mishantim, either Mishantim can mean his own power or can mean on a cane. But the point is, he got healthy enough. V'naka maka, we're learning it. V'naka maka means the guy who hit him is cleaned. He's absolved. He's done. He's Potter. Rak shifty eatim v'rapi. Why nine chesam a base? Zok demar v'chisayla daitcha. You have a minute to say you heard a guy. Then what happened? And he's walking around. I got it. He's walking around with a cane because you made him limp. But you have a minute, you're going to kill him. Chisad daitcha shezem halch b'shuk v'zen nerak elzeh rather cases shamdula misa. They said, you know what, the guy's dying. The heika mashaya, and then they said he's back to stable condition. And then we read it tamashanta v'naka maka period. And then he suddenly died. Why? As soon as you get up, stable condition, you're done. They hold you chayiv. So we put him in prison until we figure it out, till we know 100% that he's going to survive. We're not arguing that you put him in prison. Where would he know that from? Yalef Mekaishish, he learns it, we all know from the Mekaishish when he was gathering. It says, they clearly put him in a prison. Why doesn't Rabbanan learn it from Mekaishish? My answer is, there Mekaishish, it was Pashad Barkatalu. You just didn't know, Moshe didn't know what to kill him with. Therefore, you can't learn it out from what? From the Mekaishish. He learned it out from the Megadif. There we didn't know Bechlal Delay Yadi Barkatalu and still the Chavshu. Well, why doesn't Rabbanan learn that from the Megadif? The answer is Megadif Hayras Shaisa Haisa. Kedetanya Dem Asher Ben Hashem Akashim Misa Shenem Chalel Maisumas. Eloi Loyedeh Beis Misa Nerik Shenem, like it says Kiloi, says clearly in the pasuk Kiloi Fayras. It was not clarified what's the halacha. The guy Megadif Loynema Boy Elo to what? It says in the pasuk Lifreish Lahem Api Hashem Shaloi Yemei Shedeh Bechlal Emu B'Misa Golikim Lav. So fracting Mar as follows. Bishalom le'Reb Nechemya hainu d'chsev trei umdani. So Rashi's mas, what's it mean trei umdani? Rashi's mas, be'etzim the pasuk should have said as follows. V'hikos re'eyu be'evren be'egrif. A person whacks his friend, whether it's with a rock or his knuckles. V'nofal mishkav. Shifti yitim rapi yapi. Why does it say two extra stuff? What does it say? V'lo yamus. Rashi says is Yiseru. Why do you have to say he didn't die? Number one. And it says, Im Yakum v'Sal B'chutz. Why do you need these two things? We call them umdanas. They're two extra drushes in the psukim. Zaktig Mara, so Bishma, Lerb Nechemya, we have La Yamos, and we have Im Yakum, which is extra to tell us 2 points. Chad Amdula Misa v'Chaya. It says V'la Yamos, even though they said he's going to die. La Maisa, the case is v'Chaya. You would have a Havini, you know what? Maybe Minashamayim Rachmu. This guy had zero chance of survival. So you killed him. The Rebbeinu Shalom did a nace. He's a gadol adar. He gave him back his life. Therefore, you should get killed. Like we said earlier on top of the Amud, since he got into stable condition, the second he gets into stable condition, he's potter. So according to Mechem, you have two extra things in the pasuk. V'lo Yamos, to tell us even if it was a gadol adar and the Rebbeinu gave back his life, and Im Yakum v'Sal B'chutz to tell us the second he gets into stable condition, you're potter. However, Rabbanon, according to your Rabbanon, they says Yechayev. Why do you need both? Okay, Trey Umdanu Lamali. We can understand why you have Layamas, but why do you need Im Yaakov v'Salach b'chutz? My answer is Chadam Du Lemisa v'Chayav, Chadam Du Lechayim v'Meis. The case is where Yitak ended up dying. Reb Nechemya would say that the halacha is your potter. That what? Amdul L'chaim v'meis. They decided, and there's no reason why you're going to say he died, but L'maisi he died. Reb Nechemya Amdul L'chaim v'meis. Let's start Kra. Shari Yatzam and Bezdin Zakeh. You didn't need a pasuk to tell us that if the Bezdin evaluated him and the doctor said he's not going to die, and then suddenly dies, that you're potter. Tana Rabbanan Amakas Chaveirei v'Amdul L'misa v'Chaya Paitin Oisai. The pasuk is going to die, L'maisi he lived. He's potter. Amdul L'misa v'Hakam Hashaya. I'm the Oisai. I'm a chain in the moment. We evaluate him right now. How much is it going to cost? Nezik Tzar Ripa Sheves Abaishas. V'im la'acher came l'maisi dies hechbed umeis. Oilech acher oimed emtzai. You go after the oimed the chain like we discussed. Different mechemia. Mechemia ain't oimed ach oimed. We don't just say, oh, he was bezin zakai, he was yetzim bezin zakai. Rather, what are we going to do? You're going to kill him. Tani idach amdul emisa. Oimed denois l'chaim. L'chaim ain't oimed denois l'misa. Amdul emisa v'hakam hashahaya. Then we say oimed denois l'oimed chain in the moment. V'im la'acher came hechbed umeis mashal. What? Nezek, Tsar, Liyarshim, Amos, and Mishalim, when you paid with Shashako. And this Tanya's Kipshuta, it's no Machlekes, it's no Kireb, Nechemya, that's the difference with the Tanya Yidach. Zok, the Heilige Mishnah, Niskaven, Laragas of Ema, Baragas Hadam. A person has kavanah to kill an animal. He's a hunter. Next thing you know, he killed a person by mistake. Loivik Achavim, which Yinachai Misan, Baragas Yisrael. All in a Phelim, Baragas Ben Kayama. All these cases, you're potter. Niskaven la koisa masnam in his groin area, and it wouldn't have killed him. V'loya b'gadela misa masnam. V'hachal liba ended up hitting his heart, and it killed him. V'hoya b'gadela misa liba, you may potter. Niskaven la koisa liba, you want to hit him in his heart. In Testament Allah. V'hoya b'gadela hamisa liba, and the misa would have killed him. If it would have hit him in his heart, okay, if either the heart, it would have killed him. But it would have killed him in his masnam, in his groin area, he wouldn't have died. But he died, for whatever reason. Potter. This guy in the hakas is a gadol. Is a gadol. The guy was a big person. You have to know why it's so much tall in age. Forget about it. What about a big heavy person that a punch wouldn't kill him? The cotton ended up hitting a cotton. Again, Potter. Niskaven lahakas is a cotton. V'haya bakadei lahamis is a cotton. Now we're going to say other chidushim. Niskaven lahakas is a cotton. Your kavanah was to kill a cotton. V'hachal ala gadol. V'haya bakadei lahamis is a gadol. And the maisa, a punch like that went to kill the gadol, but still killed the mace potter. Ava niskaven lahakas al masnav. V'haya v'kadei lahamis al masnav. You give a guy, you give a guy a makkah by his masnav, and it would have killed him. It was so powerful. V'hachal ala liba. Let's say a bullet. The guy shoots a bullet, a masnav, chances he's going to die. The Maisa hit his heart, umeis chayiv. Same thing with a gadol. You give him a knockout punch or kill the gadol. And punct, you missed, you hit the cut, umeis chayiv. Reb Shimon Aimer feeling the skam al potter. Now we're going to see right away the Gemara is going to jump into what is Reb Shimon talking about? Where's the case? Zok the Gemara right away. Why nine test by the Amar Al by the Gemara. Reb Shimon Ahai Elam as Seifa on the Mamish, the last case, for example. The case is what? That you want to say that you must have it to hit the gadol and you hit the cotton. Since it was a powerful maki chayiv, and Reb Shimon says potter, should just say what? Elam as Seifa. Reb Shimon Paitim avoid. Just say chayiv. Reb Shimon Paitim. What's it mean? Niskavin laharigas. What's this whole statement? Ella, you're going to tell me what's going back on the ratio. Niskavin, what do we start the Mishnah with? Niskavin laharigas abeim of arks adam. Loy v'cham argas Yisrael. Then a fail of ben kayom a potter. Ha, you make a diak. Ha, niskavin laharigas zev harigas zev. You wanted to kill Reuven, you by mistake you kill Shimon. Chayiv. And there Reb Shimon says a chiddush. I'm feeling niskavin laharigas zev harigas zev. You are potter. Therefore, we want to say it's such a case, you potter. So why, Zok Rashi, why do Bechlal, we have to put Resha, why do we put Reb Shimon all the way at the end of the Mishnah? Why don't we put him at the end of the Resha? On that, we wanted to say that don't think that Reb Shimon's potter in every case, even on the case of Niskaven, a Masna, V'hachal Liba, in such a case, he's Maide, if there was a powerful Makkah to kill, you'd be Chayv. Zok the Gemara as follows. In Cheetah's Reb Shimon, Pshita Koi Ruv Shimon. Guy sees, he's a hunter, he sees Reuven and Shimon, another Reuven kamachavno. Le Shimon like kamachavno, hainu piluktai. That's the machlekes of Shimon and Rabbanan. According to Shimon, you pot, according to Bani Chayv. Amar lechaminai mai. What if he says, I don't care who I hit, whether it's Reuven, a yid. He says, I want to hit a yid, whether it's Reuven or Shimon. Lechaminai mai. Uinami kasav Reuven, he thought it was Reuven, so he killed him. V'nimtza Shimon mai. What is the halach in such a case? Do we say it's considered kavana, because Lamais you wanted to kill the guy? Or Lamais, if you would have known that Shimon, you want to kill him. So Tashma the Tanim Shimon Aimer. Ad Sheyomer. The only time you chayiv according to Shimon is lePloini ani mischaven. I dafka want to kill Pliny. My time of Shimon. Amakra says in the pasuk v'arav loy. You ambush him. Come along and you quickly jump on him. Ad She's loy. Rabbanon and Amid the Rabbiane v'arav loy to tell us prat leZayrik Evan Legoy. This is one of the most famous Gemaras. They bring this out in Ksubas of Mechsa. The what? Hechidami. You're going to tell me the what? He threw a rock at that crowd. There's 9 going. And there's one yet. Typically, the Rubakutim Minu. Let it be Bechlal. This is Rive Goyim. Inami, even Palga. Even if 50-50, it's something of Hashal Hakal. Like Tzricha Dika Tishi Shalva Kutiecha Benem. The Chiddush is that what? There's 9 guy. 9 yet and 1 guy. There's a halacha of kavua. This is what we're learning that from. This is the makar of rife. Rife is only when, for example, you shoot something into the air, and the chances are 9 out of 10 people are going to be yidden, or even 6. We say rife. However, if it's stationary, it's kavua. We say even the miyit. We say the chol kavua kemechza mechsidami, and mamash. This is the chiddush of chol kavua kemechza mechsidami. We know this says in the pasuk. 2 people are fighting and they by mistake hit a woman. They hit a pregnant woman by mistake. And it says the pasuk is referring to somebody who's trying to kill. How do we know this? We know if he doesn't kill, he just hurts. He's chayiv. We know nefesh. So it's clearly that you're chayiv. And if you didn't have kavanah to kill, how could you kill him? El Reb Shimon, so according to Reb Shimon, the question is, according to you, Reb Shimon, what are you going to do with such a case? You hold this you potter. My answer is it means mammon. Chida Rebbe. The Tanya Rebbe Aimes says v'nasata nefesh tachas nefesh. Says it's in Shemais Chaf Al Chol Gimel. Mammon, atoy me mammon ein la nefesh mamash. Maybe it means nefesh. Nemer nesina lamata. It says nesata b'chav alfa gimel v'nemra wa'an aytesim bebeis nesina lamala. It says v'nasan b'flilin. Mala lon mammon. Just like over there means mammon. Clearly af kan mammon. Amar Rabbi the Tana the Bechizkiya. Mafkim of the Rebbe, mafkim the Rabbanan. Now we have a machlekes Rebbe and Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, mechayiv miska. In the case of what? Niskav al argazev argazev. The Rebbe is mechayiv and mammon. However, we're going to see that according to the Torah of Chizkiyahu, you're not mechayiv mammon and you're not mechayiv misa. What mafka with the Rabbi, mafka the Rabbanim, the Tana, the Bechizkiya, Maka Adam? It says in the pasuk, Maka Adam. It says in the pasuk, Maka Behema Shemel, Maka Adam you must. That what? It says in the pasuk, Maka Adam, Maka Behema. Maka Behema, just like we know. By Maka Behema lechalakta, but Meshekel Amazim, Miskaven Lashem, Miskaven Ben Derchi Rida La Derchalia. We all know regarding Misa, you only chayiv going down. You're not chayiv going up. L'paiter mammon and l'chayiv mammon. Regarding the behemoth, you comes to tell you to say chayiv mammon. Af Maka Adam, we're going to read it that you're not chayiv mammon. Loy tachlok loy what? Bein Shekel Amazim, Miskaven Lashem, Miskaven Ben Derchi Rida La Derchalia La what? L'chayiv mammon, l'paiter mammon. So according to this sheet of Tana Bechizkiya, you're clearly potter. So my shem miskaven, ilam shem miskaven klal, you pasha not chayv anything. Haynu shoygik. El pshita shein miskaven lezeh el lezeh. You weren't having kavana. You wanted kavana to kill somebody else. Viktani lechayv mammon el fight the mammon. So you clearly see that what halach is your potter. So if you potter, it's clearly not like Rabbi that's mechayv mammon. V'ipakatolu might tzich lemifter mammon. It's pasha kimlem ramine lashamina Allah brakatolu. It's not like Rabbana Yechai Misa v'la Brahma, and it's not like Rabbi that's mechayev mammon. One of the Mishnah in Tassim and Bates, right? Seyach shenis arav b'acher. Very negay. You see this by the Afghanis a lot. When people run away from the Mishnah, they run into a crowd. Next thing you know, you can't find the guy, right? So what is the halacha? This guy's a ritzeach. He's a murderer, and he jumps into a room full of people. We're going to see who are those people. So ritzeach shenis arav b'acher. What do you do now? Gemara's going to explain who they are. Kulam p'turin. Everyone's patur. Nope. Everyone got to go into prison. We're going to see kaitzon l'silkip, which is a death sentence. We starve you, and then after your stomach shrinks, we give them barley so their stomach pops. Kol chayv misas shenisarv zebazet nidayna bekala. What is the halacha? There's skila involved, shreif involved, herek. Kind of they get the easiest one. Haniskolin, for example, benisrofin. What happens? You have a room. Everybody's chayiv shreifa. But one guy's chayiv skila and jumps into the room. You have to get the kala. Shasreif chamura. V'chachamim aimrim nidayna b'sreifa. Shaskila chamura. Amalei Rishimin ilu loy haisis shreifa chamura loy nasan l'maskayin shezinsa. We wouldn't give it to the maskayin. Amalei. What do you mean? Ilu loy haisis skila chamura loy nasan l'magadev loy v'devis chavim. And we went through this back and forth very extensively earlier in the Gemara in Mem Tessim Beis, and we said over there why you should push the yada baker. Hanaragin bechanakin. Again, the same type of thing. Who we give him the misa hakal. So what is this acherim? Who are these people in the room? Man acherim. Elaim, are we going to tell me acherim ksherim? A guy runs into the room. It's pshita that he's potter. What do you want it to be? V'suba lemer b'yuda kain sanay l'kipa. Why would he put the ksherim into prison? So we're going to see Simon Beis Shimon Reish Kuf. The Scheiner bring it down. Then it means that guys, the Simon is for Avo, for the Beis, Shin for Shmuel, Kuf is Reish Lakish, and Reish is Rava. Amar Avo and Shmuel Hachaber Tzeach Shaloi Nigmadina Shenisariv B'Reitzchem Achem Shenigmadina. So let's say you have death row. Very simple. We're talking about a murder that they didn't paskin yet. Didn't have a gemar din. So he runs into the death row. Shenigmadina Skina. So Rabbanan Savin Goy Medina Shaladam El Befana. So you have no choice because you don't know who he is. Hilkach you kulam p'turit. Therefore you can't kill him. Rabbi Yehuda, if Tunu Lagamer Namilai, the Maisa the rights, you're going to let them loose, giving the rights, going to Hilka Kaisan as the keeper, and they end up dying in the keeper. Shlakish Amma Ba'adam, or Shlakish wants to say the Kula Amalai Pliga Diptir. The Maisa, your people, we're not going to kill them. Aval Hacha, we're talking about a Bashar, Shalai Nigbar Dinoi, Shenis Arib, Bishvar Machem, we're talking about Mammon, we're talking about accent. Shani Maradina Kamifli, Rabbanan Savi Kamisa Bailakach Misa Shar, Vein Goy Medina Shashar, Elabafanav. Helkach, therefore what? Kulam Turin. Rabbi Yehuda saw the Kaisan Lakipa, we put him in a prison. Amar Rava, Yachi, one on the top of Payam and Aleph, Hainu Diktani Allah. How do you understand this Gemara? Amar Rav Yosef, Hafilu Abba Chalafta, even my father, you have to know how he said, he talked his Lashon his father, then maybe said Abba first, even my father Chalafta Beineyan, you're potter. So how could he talk like that? Elamai, what are you talking about? Manaf Shach Rashi, Bein Rish Lakish, Bein Lishmuel. Whether you're talking about Reitzchem, what Shach is Abba Chalafta? If he's a Ritzeach, who cares who he is, number one. And if you're talking about Shvarim, what Shach is the person? Ella, Marava Hachikam, and this is what it means. Two people are standing. You turn around and see two people. Now, the chetz, and it killed somebody. It had to come from one of them. Even the Gadol Adar standing there, and there's no tzad to think he shot him. He's still potter because you can't prove it. However, this is what it's saying. What do we say? Which are innocent, still cycle and Isan. No kites and Isalakipa. We don't have to give them skila, and Rashi says the reason is rather they die from hunger. Rabbi Yehuda Vatanya, Rashi says benechusa, it's not a kasha. Parashemisa, a par that died, get killed. Va'achakach yald, and then it gave birth. If it gave birth before yald of vlad mutter. However, mishenig medina, once a paskin's ready to die, yald of vlad as. Nis'arev ba'acherim. Not only that, it got mixed up twice. Kaitz and Isa Lakipa. We put them into the prison. Tyson says there's two malachim, either means Sveika, that's the Chiddush, or there's Trey Right. Still, we put them in prison. Which is who? Rav Shitas Rav Yehuda. Rabbi Lazar Rav Shimon Aimim, Mevin Isa Lebezdin, Mesaikal Isa, and again, we see Shitas Rabbi Lazar Nacherim is Shitas Rav Yehuda and Tanakam. Amamar, we say, Imacholoi Nigmadina Yaldav, Lada Mutter. Va'afagav, even the what? Chinacha, have a misabra. Vlad the negachas, Vlad is negech, Aser, he, Vlada nachai, Vlad the negachas, Aser, he. Vlad the negachas is Aser. He Vlad the nachai, and Vlad the nevas Aser, he Vlad the nevai. The reason why we say the Vlad is also Aser, because the way we look at it, when you have a pregnant ox being negech, it's not just the ox, it's also the upper, it's also negech, it's part of it. So, Amy, you have to read it. Afterwards, Ibra, underline the word. It first came Uberis after the whole Ma'isa v'yalda v'lada mutter. Imisha nigmadina, Ibra v'yalda v'lada aser. So, Zoktamar, Nichlaman nama zevazah gar maser. Zevazah means the Zachar. There's halacha, what happens if you have mutter in the Isra? Over here, the mutter is a machlaikis, the Tmura, Rashi says, but it's a machlaikis of the Zachar, he's not part of he didn't do anything. And he's a davar heter. And this Vlad is coming from the father also. Zevazah gar maser, okay, no problem. One of the payam base, Elaman dama zevazah, which is the Zachar came from Had the Gar Mutter, Michael Ameimar. Ravina, Amy, you have to read it. Im acheloi nigmardina, before the Gmardin Ibra, the Yalda the Vlada Mutter. However, acheloi nigmardina, Ibra became pregnant, Umashin nigmardina. After the Gmardin Yalda, Vlada, so why? Upar Yerech Imayu. Since Lamaisa B'Shas Gmardin, it became part of the mother, and that's why it's Aser. Kol Chayove Misas. We said that you give him the kaldik and misa if you're not sure. So Zok Demar right away, Shmamina, Maisra l'davachamer have a Maisra l'davakal. So the question is, the Gemara in Ksubis has a shayla, what is the halacha? And it's a boy delayv shita. So for the Gemara over here, we should see the makar. We have a good raya. Why? Because Maisra l'davachamer, you gave a guy skila, and he ended up going and hiding with a bunch of people with herek. How could you kill him? Elamai, when you give out zara, you give out sra for davachamer, you automatically give it a sra l'davakal. Amar Yirmach Maskin Kun Shehesu by stop. Vaitanu the Tan of Shachai Mitcha Batarim and Misa Naisa Be'edim Be'eda Be'edim Asra Va'ad Shediu Shuchai Misas Bezdin. However, that sheet is Tanakama Ryuda Iman. No. Ach Yudu Be'ezim Misuner. Tanakama Yolf Mekaishish. There was Tam Asra, there's no shayla about it. They didn't even know what to kill. He just said he's going to die. Rabbi Yudaim Mekaishish, you can't bring a raya, was a ras, shaisa, haisa, and there you cannot learn out from other dares. Haniskolin, we said, ben nisrafin. You have a room, 5 of the people all deserve sreifa. He deserves skila. So the halach is we give him what? We give him sreifa. Masnil Rabbi Cheskel Rami Berei tells his son in nisrafin ben niskolin. So you have a room full of skila. Give one guy his chai sreifa, you get skila. Rabbi Shimon Aimer, what's Rabbi Shimon saying? You do no beskila, shat sreifa is chamura. So Amalei Rav Yehuda Abba. His brother tells him, Rami's brother tells his father, if an over his brother, like this neachi. Why are you learning this? Ma'iri, the Sreifa Chamura. What is it? You have a room, think about it. We have a room, everybody gets skila, one guy gets Sreifa. We're saying you get skila. Why? Because Sreifa is Chamura. Ma'iri, the Sreifa Chamura. Typically, the Ruben is Skalaninu. Forget about Sreifa is not Chamura. It's Bechal, go bust to the Raif. So he says, Elehechi Asne. So he answered back, how are you going to learn the Sefer, the next case? Of an Iskolin, ben Israfin. When the room is full of Sreifa, guys, he's Chayiv Skila, we said he gets Sreifa. Reb Shimon, and what's Reb Shimon say? Reb Shimon, I mean, Dainu Beskula, Sreifa Chamura. And there the Rav is what? Sreifa. Iachi, so Reb Cheskel tells Reb Yehuda, Eima Sefer. Chachamim Aimrim, Chachamim say the what? V'chachamim omer la'echi asni. So he tells him how do you learn it, and he answered back in his scholar b'srafin. On that, Rav Chetzkel tells his son back to Rav Yehuda, how are you going to understand the seifa? Why sheskila chamura? You have the exact same question. Typically, the Reuben is Rafininu. It's because of the Rav, nothing to do with chamura. My answer is awesome. Rabbanu the Kamalei Rav Shimon l'didach. There, Rabbanu telling Shimon. According to you, the Amr Sreifa chamura. Loi skila chamura. It's nothing to do with sreifa, rather it's to do with skila. The reason why you give him sreifa, the reason why you're going to go give him sreifa in such a case that we're saying in the seifa, the yidainu b'sreifa sheskila chamura, there we're saying no, skila is chamura, and that's where you should get skila. Amal Shmuel Rav Yehuda Shinna, my smart one, you never should have talked like that to your father. Leiteim alech one pei alpha met aleph. Leiteim alevucha hachi. You don't speak like that to your father. It's embarrassing him. The Tanya Reishaya Aviv Over al Divrei Torah Lo Yom Lo Abba Vartal Divrei Torah Elohim Lo Abba. This is what it says in the Torah. Kach Siv B'Torah. In fact, the Mar says Hainu Ach is the exact same thing. Elohim Lo Abba Mikra Kos the Torah B'Kachu. It just says in the Torah X Y Z, and the father, the Talmid Chacham, knows right away he's doing something bis. Okay, we are on the final daf. Mi Shin is Chaim with the Mishnah on the top of the Mi Shin is Chaim B'Shtei Mises Bezdin. Shon is Chaim Skila and Herek. Nidan B'Chamuri gets Skila. You get, for example, we're going to see a chamaisai, it gets sreifa. Now, HSH gets chanek. Your chamaisai is HSH, you're going to get sreifa. You get the first zika. We're going to see if Yisayma marries, if someone marries Yisayma, so the mother-in-law is not an HSH, so now you're also mitam chamaisa, and then she becomes an HSH. You get chamaisai. But if you marry a typical girl, she's usher. Really, we're going to see maybe Eshesesh first. That's what Zika. Zika usually means the marriage that's first. Zok Demar Pshita. You have a hamina le taiguri itgur. You have a hamina to say that what you should not get the chamura. Why do you have a hamina to think you should get the kal? Why should you benefit? The guy, let's say, was Michal Shabbos. V'nigmar din alaver kala, and they decide the paskin they're going to kill him and execute him. V'chaz of aver chamur, you have to know how he did that. Aver maybe ran away because we learned when you execute him, it's immediately. And then he went to his Bail's mother-in-law. You would say the guy's ready, dead person. You don't go over and bring him back to Bezin. Kamash Malon, we're going to schlep you back, and we're going to start the procedure over to give you the chamadika punishment. When do we know this concept? Why the Chesiva says in the following in the pasuk? It's pasuk in Cheskel. It's quite extensive. It says as follows: V'hoylid ben paret, someone who gives birth a violent son. Shoifich dam, kipshuta means murder. The goymer, and then the pasuk says Elaharim layachal, Elaharim achal eats on the mountains. There's ishtarei utami kipshuta is mezana with someone's wife. V'elagalul nasayin of kipshuta is what he does have a desire. V'hoylid ben paret with taichin shoifich dam. If a person murders, gets besayif. Es eishes rei utami zu eishes gets chenek. So the guy's ready chayiv, sayif chenek. V'elagalul nasayin of zovat is chavim gets skilas. He's chayiv 3 different punishments. Uchsev ma'isumas dama bayiyeh. We always know the dama bay means skila. So you clearly see that what? He's chayiv 3 different punishments, going to get skila. Askila Nachman Yitzchak, Ema Kula b'skila. I can touch the whole pasuk as b'skila. And as follows. V'hoyle ben paretz means shoivich dam. Doesn't mean someone who was ritzech yet. We know about the ben Sayer Mer gets killed because he's going to be shoivich dam. The ben Sayer Mer, that's what gets skila. H's rei Tommy Zunayim are also the b'skila. V'ela galulim nasein of zuva b'scham the b'skila. Okay, for tomorrow, my kamash in Cheskel. What's Cheskel telling us? So Dr. What do you mean? Dimel Turkam maybe saying over Torah. In Kani, but he should have said over the whole Mishnah Torah, Dr. Rashi. Why did he pick these 3 psukim? What Eiches? Elamai. He's coming to tell us when there's 3 different punishments, you get skill. It says in the pasuk, he doesn't need the avos. That's what haram always means, the avos. You don't need them because he's a chassid. The ain of doesn't walk around like a balgaiva. This says re'eyu. Re'eyu over here means parnasalai tim shalayara umnis chaveroi vel isha nida. Whenever something's unclean, whenever you're embarrassed, it's disgrace. It's a nida. La yikov shalinan makupa shataka v'chsev tzadiku chaya yichil definitely live. Only if you do all these stuff, that's when you live. Otherwise not. Rekiva tells his friend, he says no. Says in the Torah regarding all these averos of arayas. You're going to tell me regarding all the averos. You have how many you can say one of them is mutter? Avadanat, ela ba'achas mikolela, chanami, vada just means ba'achas mikolela. One of them, you're already going to be chai. Avar avera. So zok the mark tani ketzam Rabbi Yossi. Need the mezikah rishayna ba'alav. So what's the mean? And that the Gemara says the case is, for example, chamaisa your mother-in-law v'nasis eishes ish. Need them chamaisa, and you get sreifa. Eishes ish v'nasis chamaisa. Need them eishes ish because she's also mitam eishes ish. Why? Because the concept is ain't isser chalal isser. So frankly, okay, I got it in isser chalal isser, but now chamaisa v'nasis eishes ish. Your mother-in-law is also mitam sreifa. Now she's an eishes ish. Need them chamaisa leader nami eishes ish. Damer v'vo ma'dev yisab eisam yisif. The hainu a mother-in-law that's almana. A grusha. Could the rest of the world marry her? The answer is absolutely. She's not usher. Dafka to you. But now when she goes to marry somebody else, she becomes usher kol ha'olam. That's called Issa Maisif. And Rabbi Yossi says, my deba ain't Issa Chal Isser. That doesn't apply to Issa Maisif. And then the more answers on Pei Aleph and Aleph. Amalei Adabarei. Betray Katli Katlasley. You're not making sense. What are we talking about? The only case you have such a question is what? A mother-in-law that became an Eishes Ish. So what do you want to do? You're chayiv streifa and you're chayiv eishes ish. What do you want to do? Give her chenek and streifa? You can only give her one punishment. Savada, you give her the streifa. Zok de'elig a mishnah on top of Pei Aleph on my base. Mi shalaka v'shana. Someone gets malchus twice. Bez the mechnisa l'kipa. They put him in prison. Mechil and Isa. They give him barley. Sayna shechreisai. Mispakas till his stomach splits. Zok de'mara mishum delaka v'shana. Just because the person gets malchus twice, Bez the mechnisa l'kipa, you're going to kill him? Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Amar Rav Shimon, v'lishalakash hacha. What are we talking about? Not stam malchus. The malchus shall karisis is gina the gaver bakatalahu. You're chayiv chorus. The karuva de le'mikra katli. That's you deserve to die, and it's going to happen. However, v'kiven the kamavadal anavshay, you're ready to bring it on quicker. Makavina le katli levei. We have no problem. We'll finish you off. It's dafka when a person does it with one specific curse over and over that he's mevater. Zok the Mishnah, it's very clear, 2 malchus is good enough. Zok the Gigmar, Shina, Afagad, Shilish, even 3 times. Lemas Nisa like Rav Shimon Gamliel is a Machlekes. Rav Shimon Gamliel and Rabbi. What's the Machlekes? Rav Shimon Gamliel. Ha'amar Atlazimni Lev Chazak. You need 3 times to have a Chazaka. And Sanhedrin Gemara says, Amavina, feel it, Rav Shimon Gamliel Kasavar, Aveira is Machzikos. Over here, you have 3 times. What's the 3rd time? The Aveira. And the Aveira is what is Machzikos. In Echanam, you don't need the Malchus. And therefore, even Rav Shimon Gamliel is going to be Maida. Frek the Gemara as follows: Meisvei Avar Aveira Sheish by Malchus Pamrishayna Vishniya Malchinaisai. However, Vishlishis Kaitzanaisai Lakipa. Abishalayim Abishlishis Malchinaisai. Bervias Kaitzanaisai Lakipa. So my love the Kulam, everyone agrees. Malchiyais is what you need. Machzikas. Malchus is what gives you the Chazak. Upe looked at the Rabbi Rav Shimon Gamliel. The whole Machlekes Abishal is going to go like Rav Shimon Gamliel. In Tanakama is going to go like Rabbi. The Mar says, "Loi de kulama isul Rishim Gamliel." V'hachabal kemifli the Mar Sava veirois machzikas. Therefore, you already have 3. Umar Sava, you need another one for the Malchus machzikas. Frek the Marva the Tanya Hisru by V'Shasak. Guy gives us Asra. Now Asra, we all know you need to validate the Asra and say yes. I'm a Kabbalah Asra. And you stay quiet. Hisru by V'Shasak. Hisru by V'Herchin Raishai. He nods his head, but Lamaisi doesn't say anything verbally. So Pam Rishayim V'Shniya Masrim by. Shlishis, what do we do? Kaisan Zakipa, we bring in the prison. And Abishal Laimer, Abishlishis, Master Boy Revias, Kaisan Zakipa. Fraktamar Vahasa Malchus like us and Mike Flifluki. There, we're clearly not talking about Malchus. So what would be the argument? Ravina, you know what the Machlekes is? Bekipa, Tzricha Srakam. To put a guy in prison, you need to give him Masra. Therefore, that's the Machlekes. Do you need 3 or 4 times? Everyone agrees to Rav Shimon Gamliel. The Tanakama holds Lamaisa, your Hochsek Rasha, on the 3 Hasras and Malchus, therefore you put him the Kippah, even though you didn't have Asra regarding the Kippah. However, Abishal is going to hold you need to have Asra on the Kippah. My Kippah, what is that? How big is this prison? Review the Mali Kamasi. It's mamash a brutal dick of prison. Enough as long as it's height. The Heicher Remiza, where Bechlal in the Torah. Tzavad Elochim Hashem Rashi says. But where do we know that it's in the Torah? Mishlakish says, Temaisis Rasha Ra, the death of a Rasha is evil. It says, a person doesn't know when he's going to die. Just like a dogim shenechadim to the ra'ah. They get stuck in an evil trap. Like a fish hook. A fish hook, it's small and it's quick. And next thing you know, you catch the fish. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. We're going to see what that means. How you're going to be able to kill him if there's no witnesses. We put him into prison. What do? We give him lechem tsar, very little bread, umayim lachatz, and very little water. So minay adinon. Simple question. If there's no edim, how are you going to put him in prison? We're talking about very specific edis. Avada, there's two valid edims, Dr. Rashi. However, the Gemara Makkah says they both need to see each other. If one is from one window and doesn't see the other window, you can't kill him. But we're not going to argue balbatish if the guy has two edim. So therefore, we throw you in prison. Shmuel Amar Shalei Basra. Hasra, we can't kill you, but we know what happened. Rav Chezdam Ravim Kigoy des chachash bebdikos v'lo yes chachash bechakiris. Chakiris is what? There's man, time, or regarding azama. And bdikas is like what color was his clothing. We all know there was a murder under the fig tree, and they asked him how big and how small were the figs. So for tomorrow, if you look at the Mishnah on top of the Amud regarding Malchus, what does it say regarding the prison? We throw him in prison, give him barley, and he ends up, his stomach splits. What's the both? You first put him in prison, you give him very little food till his stomach shrinks. Now that his stomach shrinks, what do you do? Perfect time, you give him barley. And they explain. The first Mishnah where it's Malchus, the Chiddush you need to tell us, you want to explicitly say that you're going to kill him. So you mentioned the barley, where it clearly says he's going to die. In the next Mishnah, we know you're going to die. We explain the first part of the procedure. Okay, let's see this final Mishnah. Hagoyinev is a kasa. We're going to see kasas like the Kli Sharis. V'amakal b'kaisim, someone who gives a klala with its getcha, supernatural powers. V'aboyla ram is kanoim pagan by. So we're talking about all these halachas, not a bezdin. The kanoim can be pagan by. Kayin sheshimish betoma. Ein achav a kanim of yinoisel bezdin. Not the brothers bringing the bezdin al pirchikuna from 13 to 20. Matzin oisel chutz la'azara, and they kill him. I've seen this meicha b'gzeirin with clubs. Zar sheshimish b'migdash. It's machlekes v'kibay mechanik chamayim. You don't do anything. Bidei shemai. So my kasva, I'm reviewed. It's a Kli Sharis. It says in the pasuk, it says ve'es kesois hanosech, regarding the shelving tubes. It's talking about the lechem upon him, where they have little tubes that you put in the roll, just like you see by a bakery, those tubes that you can put in these long baguettes. Ve'echer miza, says the pasuk, ve'lo yavoy lirois kevalas es a kodesh v'mesu. They shouldn't see the inserting into the hole. Why? Because they might die. V'amakal b'kaisim. Tani Rav Yosef. What he says is, Yaka Kaisim is Kaismai. I want my what? I want my supernatural power to destroy, to hit, the Makal Klapi Mala, destroy the Rebbeinu Shalaylam. Okay, Rabbana is Kaismai. Rabbana, and someone to say Vitim Ramari Amri, Yakeyu Kaisim light, my Getchka Shawat should kill the enemy with the kind of its creator, the Rebbeinu Shalaylam. Vilamaknoi and their provider. In such a case, he's going Klapi Mala. In such a case, we all know Kanoim Paigamai Mitzvah Hashem. We're going to pick up with the very famous sugya of Abayil Haramis next week.